Again, hello and welcome. My name is Shannon. My pronouns are they, them. And today we have a restorative yoga practice. We'll be practicing a couple of restorative asana, a little bit of pranayama or breath work, and then moving into Yoga Nidra for the last half of the class. As I mentioned before, for anybody who's just shown up, our usual props. We also might like a few extra layers of warmth, whether that's a couple extra blankets or a hoodie or scarf, um, and anything that might make us a little bit more comfortable as we rest for an extended period of time at the end of the practice. Eye pillow, washcloth, something we can place over the eyes also might be helpful, not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and help folks get set up in a chair, and then I'll come on down to the mat. So, if we're practicing in a chair today, we'll find a comfortable position for our grounding. If we're on the mat and we want to find a position, I am going to stay seated for the grounding because after the grounding, we'll be moving into breath work. And this is breath work that is usually best practiced seated. Um, So, any comfortable seated position, I'll give a few options once I'm down there. But if we're on our chair, we might rest back for the beginning of our practice, and then we can sit up when we're ready for our breath work. But we might want to make sure that we have contact with the floor. If our feet are dangling, maybe grab a couple blocks or pillows or blankets or anything that we can put underneath our feet, just so we have that contact. The grounding itself, we can have our legs extended in front of us, maybe on another um, chair. And we can also do that for our breath work. But if we're seated upright, we might want to have our feet on something solid for the breath work. Just helps with the sensation of grounding. Um, and we can have a blanket around us if we're chilly, anything we need there. I'm going to come on down to the mat. So we can sit directly on the mat or in our bed. Or if we like, we can sit on a bolster or a couple blankets, our blocks placed together. We have lots of options. I like to use my blocks under my thighs for a little bit of extra support because I hyperextend through the knees. And this just keeps me from doing that. But we can have feet together, knees apart. If we would like, we can be reclined for the very beginning of our grounding as well. Cover ourselves with a blanket, stay warm, anything we need. And once we've found our position, we might start by taking a moment to notice the space that we're in. We might notice any sounds in the space, any sounds outside the space. For me, I live in the city, so sometimes you're going to hear sirens or cars or people. But also notice what's in your space, just so we don't have anything that surprises us. And if we like, we might close our eyes or we can have a soft gaze, whatever feels comfortable. We can let the hands rest anywhere against the body that feels good, the lap, the heart space, the belly. And we might take a moment to allow ourselves to come into the space, to arrive. Those moments of transition between when we are sitting and when we are practicing. We might notice our breath in the moment. No judgment, no attachment. We just might notice if maybe the breath is fast today or slow or somewhere in between. There's no right or wrong or good or bad. We might notice where we feel the breath in the body. Maybe we feel it in the heart space or the belly, We might feel it through the movement in the shoulders or the ribs. We might feel it in all of these places or none of them. We might take a moment to notice the state of the mind, whether we have many thoughts or few, whether they come fast or slow, whether they're familiar thoughts, random thoughts. And again, there's not judgment here. We're noticing. If we can, we might attempt to be an observer rather than a participant. But depending on the day, that can be difficult. We might begin to notice the state of our emotions. Maybe we have a lot of big emotions today. Maybe things feel kind of chill and relaxed, or maybe it's been a frantic day and we still have that energy running through us. Again, no judgment, just acknowledgement. This is where I am in this moment. And we might notice our physical body. We might notice those areas that make contact with the bolster, the chair, the mat, the bed. And notice the sensation in those spaces. Do we feel pressure, a difference in temperature? Can we allow ourselves to rest down through these areas so that through the bolster, through the mat, through the bed, through the chair, we allow ourselves to rest into the earth, because these are an extension of that. They support us like the earth supports us. And let the earth take the weight, the strain, the pressure of the day. Maybe letting it fall through us, down into the mat, into the bed, into the chair, all the way down to the earth, no matter how far beneath us it is today. Knowing that it's safe there. We can pick it back up if and when we need. But in this moment, allowing ourselves to be held, to be supported. And if we like, we might bring our attention back to the breath, to our inhale and exhale. And we can stay with this breath if we like, or we might make a few adjustments. Maybe first by seeing if it is accessible to us to breathe in and out through the nose. And of course, if not, we can breathe through the mouth as well. We also might see if we can pull the breath down into the belly. It might be helpful to place a hand on the belly the diaphragm just below the ribs. Noticing it expand on the inhale and release on the exhale. Beautiful. If we're reclined, we might gently roll on our right or left side, press up to a seated position as we move into our pranayama or breath work. Today we'll be practicing Nadi Shodhana. So for this, we'll be breathing alternately between our nostrils. And we have a mudra that we can add to it if we choose. So if we would like to practice the mudra, we can bring the ring finger and the middle finger curled into the palm, kind of like the I love you that we learned for sign language. Or I'm sorry, the first finger and the ring finger and the middle finger into the palm, kind of like the shaka. And we'll start by bringing this to the lap or against the body, but we're going to hold this. We'll eventually bring it to the nose. We want to make sure we're in a comfortable position where we can breathe. So if we have a larger belly like I do, sitting on the bolster can be helpful, or we can come into a wide-legged position as well to make space. Same if we're seated. We can spread the legs further apart if we need. Sorry about that. And so with our mudra on our lap, sorry, keep getting some interference here. Okay. Just gotta close that for now. Sorry about that. Okay. That's new. We'll return to the breath. So we'll notice our inhale and our exhale. Continuing to breathe in and out in a way that feels comfortable for us. And then as we continue our breath, we'll start by inhaling in through exhaling through the left nostril and inhaling through the left nostril. And then we'll attempt to exhale through the right nostril and inhale through the right nostril. Continuing to breathe in this manner. And this is where we can bring our mudra in. We might place the ring finger against the left nostril and the thumb against the right. And as we inhale through the left nostril, we'll close the right, then hold both nostrils closed and open the right nostril and exhale. And inhale through the right nostril. Close, exhale through the left nostril. Inhale. Close, exhale right. Inhale right. nose, exhale left. And we'll continue breathing in this manner for the next minute and a half. Again, using our mudra or not, whatever feels most comfortable. And when we're ready to release our exhale, we can release the mudra if we've been holding it. And come back to our natural breath, whatever that looks like for us. Beautiful. Now, if you need at this point, you might blow your nose. Sometimes that happens. Might have a little drink if it's dried out the throat a little, which again sometimes happens. And then when we're ready, we're going to make our way into our first prop supported restorative asana. Excuse me. So for this, we have a couple options. We're going to come into a fold. So if we are seated on our chair, we might have a second chair in front of us. Or we can place our bolster on the floor and then hinge forward from the hips. If we're seated, we have a few options. We can be in a wide-legged position, or we can have the legs together if that's comfortable. We can have our bolster upright on its side or flat in front of us, depending on how much mobility we have to fold forward. We can do the same thing with blocks, or we can stack pillows or rolled blankets, whatever we need, until they're at a position that we feel comfortable folding forward. So I'm going to also bring the belly between the legs so I have lots of space for my fold. And when we're ready, we'll begin to slowly hinge forward, placing the forehead against the bolster, or we can do our cheek if that's more comfortable as well. And we'll be here for the next 2 minutes or so. And when we're ready, we can slowly bring the hands to the floor or against the props and begin to press upward. From here, we're going to move into our second resting position, which is a variation of Baddha Konasana or Supta Baddha Konasana. So we have a few different options again. If we are on the mat, we can take our bolster and lay it down from the top right through the center. If we don't want to be kind of fully reclined, we still have our option to create a ramp using our blocks or stacking pillows behind. We'll bring, either way, we can bring our bum to the base. We'll place the soles of the feet together, knees apart if that feels comfortable. We might also have maybe some blanket beneath the knees if you want a little bit of support, especially if we're feeling some stretch through the inner line of the leg. We might also wrap the blanket around us for to kind of help hold the feet together. And then we can recline back, making sure that our spine feels supported. Our arms can rest out to the sides in a T shape if we want more heart opening, or they can be against the body or right next to us, palms down or up, whatever feels more comfortable. And we'll continue to breathe in a way that feels comfortable for us. If we're in our chair, we can have our bolster or maybe a few blankets or blocks beneath us. And maybe rest on the sides of the feet. And we have the same options here. Maybe a rolled blanket that we put around the back of the neck so we can relax back. Or we can have the feet on the chair in front of us, feet together, knees apart if that's comfortable. So whichever position feels most comfortable for us, we can come into that. And we'll be here for the next 2 minutes or so. And when we're ready, we'll slowly return to the breath, noticing the inhale and exhale. And we're going to transition into our final resting position. So if you're in your chair, you might stretch the legs out straight, either on the bolster in front of us or onto our chair in front of us. Again, maybe we have that wrap around the neck for comfort. We can add another blanket for warmth, maybe an eye pillow. And likewise, if we're on the mat, if we would like to be in a supported Shavasana, we would stretch the legs out in front of us. And we can stay reclined, maybe add our eye pillow, add a blanket. If we like, maybe an extra pillow beneath the arms or a pillow under the knees. Or we can gently roll off the props onto the right or left side and set up in corpse pose, or a more traditional Shavasana, with our bolster beneath the knees, lying directly down on the mat. We might like a blanket under the head for a pillow. If we have those extra layers of warmth, we might want to add those now, maybe putting on our sweater or blanket or scarf. Again, if we have an eye pillow, we might grab that, place it over the eyes, and maybe kind of pinch right at the nose bridge, just a little, to kind of create a little extra pressure in that area, which can help us as well. I'm going to grab my handy scarf. For my shoulders. But anything that feels comfortable, warm, supportive. If you need socks, grab those. And if Shavasana isn't working for you, you can move into any position that does feel comfortable. And we'll begin our Yoga Nidra practice. So as I mentioned, Yoga Nidra is often called yogic sleep. And although it technically is not meditation, I think most people think of it as a type of meditation, but it's a form of deep rest. It's a little unusual in that we're kind of calling on opposites throughout our practice. So we'll be drawing our attention to particular parts of the body in a particular order. We'll have a few visualizations throughout our practice, not of people, but of breath as light or spaces. So again, once we have a position that is comfortable and comforting, we might, again, check our blankets, make sure that any little wrinkles in the clothing are smoothed out, anything that might kind of nag at us a bit. So we might kind of, again, have our eye pillow, draw maybe our scarf over our eyes or a hood on our hoodie, creating a bit of a cocoon. This is your circle of care, circle of rest. And we might start with a visualization, maybe drawing 3 kind of mental circles of light around the body, moving in a clockwise fashion, right to left. spiraling, wrapping around the body. And we might use this kind of visual as our boundary. Within it, nothing enters or exits. This is your cocoon, your personal space. And if we like, we might repeat silently, I am aware of my free will to move. I choose to rest in stillness. And we can make adjustments throughout our practice today. We're never frozen, we're never stuck. We might begin to sense the breath, noticing on the inhale how the belly rises, and on the exhale how it softens. We'll let our breath guide us inward. No control, just awareness. We'll move through the body now, not to fix or force, but to allow ourselves to arrive more deeply. We might start by bringing awareness to the right hand, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky. The right palm, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, the right side of the heart space, the ribs, the waist, hip, thigh, knee, shin, ankle, heel, the sole of the right foot, the top of the foot, big toe, first toe, middle, fourth toe, and pinky. We might bring awareness to the left hand thumb, left index, middle, ring, pinky, the left palm, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, the left side of the heart space, ribs, left side of the waist, left hip, thigh, knee, shin, ankle, heel, Sole of the left foot, top of the foot, big toe, first, middle, fourth toe, and pinky. Now we might feel the back of the head, neck, spine, sacrum. Might feel the forehead, eyes, cheeks, jaw, throat. We might feel heart center, the upper belly, navel, pelvis. We might sense the whole right leg, the whole left leg, both legs together. We might sense the whole front body, the whole back body, the whole body, the whole body, and our whole body. Now we might return to the breath, but this time we might choose to let it move as light. We might visualize each inhale as a wave of cool silver light moving from the tailbone to the crown. Each exhale, a warm wave descending from the crown to the tailbone. We might now let that breath flow through the palms up through the crown. Cool silver light, and on our exhale from the crown through the palms in a warm wave. We might let it flow through the soles of the feet, up through the crown, cool silver light. Exhale, warm from the crown down through the soles of the feet. We might now let the breath flow through the center of the heart space, through the crown, from the crown to the center of the heart space. Cool light on the inhale, warm light on the exhale. We might let this be our anchor through this moment of presence, the breath, each inhale and exhale. We might begin to call in the sensation of warmth, using whatever visuals are helpful. Maybe the sensation of sun on the skin, a cup of warm tea in your hands, a warm bath. Let the body grow warm. Now we might call in coolness. Maybe a breeze across your cheek, the shade of a tree, a cool pool or lake. We might let the body grow cool. We might invite heaviness, allowing the body to sink into the earth, into the props, into the floor, the bed, the chair. We might invite lightness, the body buoyed by clouds, lifted like a feather on the wind. We might let all sensations dissolve into one field of being, the paradox held in stillness. If we like, we might picture ourselves beside a wide, gentle river. Its surface shimmers in golden light. If it's comfortable, we might step into the water, noticing it's cool but not cold. The current wraps around our legs like silk. And we might see ourselves floating, not drifting, not moving away, just being held. We might notice a great mountain that rises in the distance, rooted, witnessing, unmoving. We are both river and mountain, fluid and steady, soft and strong. This is equanimity, not balance on a beam, but presence with what is. Resting here. Nothing needed from us, nothing to do. Only the awareness of breath, the flow of air, and whatever stillness we invite into the space. We'll be here for the next few minutes. We might begin to sense the body again, noticing the support beneath us. We might recall our digbandha, or the spirals of light surrounding us. And we can slowly release that spiral of light. We might begin to bring gentle movement to the fingers and toes. Maybe a slow, easy breath. If we're comfortable where we are, we can feel free to stay here. Or we might start to bring a bit more movement into the body, maybe stretching out the legs, the arms, maybe placing the feet on the ground and gently rocking the knees from side to side, rocking the body from side to side. And when we might feel ready, we might gently roll to the right or the left side. Maybe lifting the knees into the body, pausing in the fetal position, often seen as a symbol of becoming. And if we like, we might gently press up to a seated position. Or again, we can remain where we are. If it's comfortable, we might bring a hand to the heart. And noticing what remains. Not necessarily words or a story, but the state that we're in, the sensations. And if we like, we can leave the hands against the body anywhere that feels good, or bring the hands to start heart center. And we'll take 3 breaths together in a way that feels comfortable for us. We might take a moment to thank ourselves for making space for deep rest tonight. And I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today.